Hey, everybody, throughout my career, my 30 years in the health and wellness and fitness and longevity space, this topic is probably one of the most important ones that there has ever been and throughout my career. So I'm super excited about this video today. Today, we're going to talk about what is a health coach. We're going to talk about what kind of value add can a health coach bring to your life and why you should hire one. And we're going to talk about then, all right, well, how do you choose the one that's right for you? What kind of questions do you ask? What traits do you look for to make sure that you're not going to waste your time and money for the next several years and that you start getting the results that you want for your health and longevity right away? All right, so if you're not familiar with me, my name is Coach Val Fiott. I have been a personal trainer since the year 1994. I have done a whole lot of things in the space. I've coached well over 1,000 clients privately. I still do that to this day. I've also worked as a health director. I've been a clinical researcher for a long time, and I've been a big part of the American Council on Exercise's exam process for quite a while. So since the year 2010, actually. So let's go ahead and dive in. Because of all these things I've done, I feel like I've spent a tremendous amount of time with health coaches, with personal trainers, and also seeing how they score on exams and what their minimal competency is. So I feel particularly qualified to answer all these questions here today and to really explain to you exactly what a health coach is and what you should be getting out of them in life. So let's dive in. What is a health coach exactly? Well, all health coaches specialize in slightly different niches, but at the end of the day, it's somewhat obvious that they are there to build your health. Now, what does that really mean, build your health? Most people think of health as something that's fairly genetic and it's somewhat the luck of the draw. So and so got cancer. Oh, they're really unlucky. And so is 75 and jogging and doing well and never had a surgery or a medication in their life. Oh, they're just really lucky. That's the way most people tend to think. But it's really not much about luck, and genetics play a much smaller role than most people think. Your epigenetics, which is your lifestyle, and part of that is your nutrition, of course, your exercise science, the way you're sleeping, how deep that sleep is. All those factors really make up epigenetics, and epigenetics trumps genetics. So, in terms of whether you're going to be medicated or not, either later in life or at this stage of your life, what kind of aches and pains and body energy you have. Most of this all boils down ultimately to epigenetics, which boils down ultimately to lifestyle decisions, to what you're doing each and every day, the way you're thinking, what you're doing to your body, foods and drinks you're putting in, etc. So a health coach can help you understand how your day-to-day activities and even your thoughts will manifest into either health problems or into building health. And when I talk about building health, let me go a little bit further here, okay? Every bone in your body, every joint, every muscle, your energy systems, and the way you're feeling, your nervous system, which you basically just live your life through, everything you're seeing and feeling and taking in, all boils down to your nervous system. All of that ultimately comes down to being nurtured. Each component needs to be nurtured. And nurturing means giving them all what they need. So, for example, when you think about strength training, okay, if you're strength training, let's say the biceps muscle, just appropriately enough, usually 2 to 3 times a week, a total of around 15 to 20 sets or so. We're not going to get into all that right now, but if you're giving the biceps exactly what they need, you will have stronger, healthier biceps, stronger, healthier elbow, probably have some effect on the shoulder as well along the way. And therefore, you're also going to have a higher metabolism and you're going to get some heart health benefits out of that training as well, in general. A health coach breaks down the body in all these different components, not just muscle by muscle, but we're thinking about the health of the joints. We're thinking about your energy levels and about giving you an exercise prescription and lifestyle choices. They're going to help boost energy levels, build your metabolism. And the end game for all of this is not just so you're happier and you're more energized and you're performing better at work. And if you have a family, you're doing better with your family. It's not just for all that. It's also for the sake of longevity. So you're staying out of the hospital and living longer. It's for your happiness. So you're not taking medications and going through depression and emotional problems, that you're just waking up every day feeling on fire, ready to take on the world and feeling really good about it. And again, I know a lot of people say to me, well, Val, that's a state of mind. Right. Health coach is not just the physical, but it's helping you to get into the state of mind, to tap into a very positive and very go get 'em kind of state of mind, for lack of a better way to explain that. Okay. So these are all really important things. Now, not all health coaches go quite this far into this much depth. And that's why I do think that the best health coaches are also certified personal trainers, who preferably have had at least some college, like an associate's degree or so, in exercise science or health coaching or health science. These are pretty important things because unless they've really gone to school for that, a lot of times, and not always, but a lot of times they don't really have the really solid fundamentals down in terms of writing an exercise prescription and coaching you through what your exercise should look like. And I know I've said this in other videos too, guys, but I've got to tell you, going to like a bar class or yoga class, a class setting is not the place to get healthy. You'll get some fitness benefits sometimes, but it's really not the place to be. Check out my other videos for more on that. But what I'm going to tell you is a health coach understands fitness science deeply. They understand nutrition science deeply, and they understand all the components of lifestyle. Let me talk a little bit more about lifestyle. So, ergonomically, let's say we look at your office environment or your work environment for your job, and you've got slumpy posture and you're seated for most of the day. Or, I mean, I can go on and on here. There's cakes and desserts and such in the workplace that are part of what's going on, or you're in a high stress environment, or we could look at so many different factors as a health coach to really dial into, all right, what are some positives that you have throughout your day and what are some negatives? And maybe you're not necessarily going to change jobs, although some health coaches in some cases will recommend that. But maybe it's just a matter of mitigating the workplace and where you're spending your time each day so that we can better improve your health. Again, it's going to depend on a very case by case basis, but these are the kind of things that a health coach can do for you. Is they're going to help you to reevaluate some of your decisions, and the two of you work together in a compromise. You start figuring out like, okay, well, your body needs this, but you're actually getting this. What can we do to kind of at least meet halfway and do something to make your psychology happy and at the same time make your body's energy systems and muscles and joints and bones all healthy as well, so that you're less likely to have arthritic problems down the road, lack of energy down the road, weight gain down the road. We don't want these kind of things because they're all going to cause more health problems and less happiness to you. And a true health coach really understands all that. So, okay, I think I've explained fairly well what a health coach is exactly. Now, we've talked a bit about the value add to your life, but let me go a little bit further on that. Here's how having a top health coach will really help your life. The bullet points are, firstly, you get to sit with them. Let's say you meet with them twice a week. You talk with your health coach. You get to kind of unburden yourself about any concerns you're having, any stresses you're having. And the health coach gets to explain to you a little bit, really as a bit of a life coach as well. The health coach gets to explain with you and talk with you about where some of these concerns are potentially headed and how they can be mitigated. So that's one of the first things, is that you get that connection point. You get to say, oh, I'm a little worried. I'm missing workouts. I'm stressed out at work. And they can help you prioritize what the best thing to do is. I, for example, told a client not too long ago, I said, I normally don't want you missing workouts, but right now, what you have going on at work is enough where we should dial your workouts down quite a bit. I'm going to suggest for the next 2 weeks, he had a big project at work. I said, for the next 2 weeks until this project is done, let's just go to training every other day instead of trying to train almost every day. I said, why don't we do that? And he said, yeah, but isn't that going to hurt my health? Isn't it going to hurt my my musculoskeletal fitness? And I said, yeah, a little bit, but it's 2 short weeks. And it's better than you stressing out and racing through traffic and trying to get to a gym and doing all these things. It's not worth it. You're only one human being. You can only do so much. And so that kind of prioritization and talking with a professional who can really help guide you in terms of what's maximally important for you at this stage of the game and what's not, I think is a really big value add. And again, the exercise science and the lifestyle choices and the sleep science, the nutrition, those are all huge components. Another thing another big value add here is that as years go on, if you are working with a top health coach who really understands you and you're using that advice well, chances of being medicated, which is generally really bad for your health, chances of having to go through unnecessary surgeries and all kinds of recovery time and all this, those things you see a lot in people that are over like 45 or 50 years old, but they're generally pretty unnecessary. And with the right coach in your corner, guiding you through the right principles of exercise, nutrition, and everything else I'm talking about, you're going to be a lot less likely to have to encounter these kind of things, to have to deal with multiple medications, often very unnecessary. aches, pains, lethargy, dragging yourself out of bed, having excess body fat, being under muscled, which we're finding more and more in the clinical sciences is extremely dangerous and leads to so many of these different health problems. So this is where the value add really is you can fairly confidently expect to live longer if you do have a top health coach helping you and to avoid all kinds of injuries, especially like training injuries and sports injuries and injuries that come about just from being too sedentary. And that you're not wasting a lot of time and money on very fruitless things. Like I mentioned earlier, that the fitness class generally isn't going to do a whole lot for you. But a health coach can really maximize your health and your fitness outcomes if, again, you choose the right coach. All right, so on that note, let's wrap this video up by talking about how you can go ahead and choose the best coach for you. So first, think about how much time you can really see yourself meeting with a coach. I'm certainly going to recommend multiple days per week, but that's not feasible for everybody, right? So think about first what your involvement is going to be with a coach. Is it going to be just literally once a month where you're just touching base, talking about a few key things, maybe doing a small workout, and then that's it for the next month? If so, you're not going to be going that deep on the variables. You're not going to get a really particular exercise prescription that's going to be well monitored or anything like that. So you know that going in that some of these particulars I'm talking about might not matter so much to you because you're just not going to be spending that much time with your coach. On the other hand, if you really have big fitness goals, if what makes you happy is getting very lean, and maybe you play certain sports and you want to do better at those sports. I know I've worked with a ton of golfers and avid runners and such who've come to me not just for the health component, but also for sports performance components as well. So you might decide that you need a health coach who's really got a very solid understanding of not just exercise prescription for longevity, but for sports performance as well. And then with that comes nutrition. The more deeply you're going to go into the fitness component and sports component and the exercise science of it all, well, right alongside that comes the nutrition. So if you start interviewing health coaches and you find someone's got a really good exercise background, but not a particularly strong nutrition background, or vice versa, where it's just more one than the other, that might not be the coach for you. You're probably going to need someone who's really got a very, very strong skill set in both nutrition and exercise. And again, if you're not going to be working that frequently with a coach, or if your goals are not that athletically minded, or if you just really hate exercise and don't even fathom that that could really change much at all, then perhaps those things don't matter quite as much for you. And you need a coach who's a little bit more of a life coach, who can just really speak to you at a deep level and change your intrinsic kind of your self-talk and your intrinsic motivation and just the way that you perceive life. Perhaps that's more important then is finding the right health coach who has that life coaching kind of background and whose personality can really connect with you on a deeper level than necessarily needing all the exercise and nutrition experience and that kind of knowledge. So I'd say that you definitely want to think about what your expectations really are. If you're someone just concerned with longevity or just concerned with staying out of the hospital, or what are your key like 2 or 3 top concerns, go to interview several health coaches. Find the one who's really going to hit home for you and someone who you can really see working with for the very long term. Because that is really where you're going to find the best results, is someone who can get to know you deeply, know your health metrics, know your goals, know everything about you, and someone who you can stay with ultimately for many years to come. That's what's going to lead to the life, the happiness, and the longevity that you really deserve. So again, my name is Coach Val Fiott. Go ahead and message me with any questions. I can talk with you myself on a more personalized basis. And I am available for health coaching right now as well. I have some spots in my schedule. If you'd like to meet with me, we can schedule a free session and then see if perhaps I'm actually the coach for you. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm looking forward to your health and your wellness. Success.